Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Just want to say first of all thank you for the first video. It got like a better response and more views than I thought it would, so thank you for that. And let's just get straight into this one. So we had two 2025 car launches in the last 2 days. First of all, McLaren come out of nowhere. We wasn't expecting the reveal from McLaren to be early. I mean, they didn't really have a date. Obviously there was some journalists there who got invited, so luckily nothing kind of snuck out, but it was nice to see one of the new cars on track for the first time. And of course the first thing everyone noticed was the camo livery, which looked, in my opinion, I loved it. I thought it looked really cool, really nice livery, nice colours, and it was nice to see something different, you know, a testing livery, because we don't really see many testing liveries. They're very far and few between, and obviously they can't reveal the proper livery till next week with a big O2 launch thing, which I'll definitely make a video about. So I'm not very technically minded, so I can't go into huge details, but from what I can see and what I can understand, what I've read with this new McLaren, it looks, you know, to the eye, a lot of people could say it looks very similar to the last year's car. Of course it will, it's just like a evolution of last year's car in a way, but McLaren say they've basically got a new car back to front, so it's not really an evolution, but you know, to an average fan looking at it, it looks the same, I guess a lot of people would say. But when you look at it a little bit closer, there's changes to the front and the rear suspension. Again, I'm not greatly technically minded, but there are changes to the suspension on the rear and the front of the car. It's more notable, or it's more visible to the naked eye at the front than the rear suspension. One of the biggest changes to the McLaren would be the side pods. Like last year they had like a bigger sort of air intake at the side, but if you look at the car this year, and I'll put a picture probably here or something, they have this very similar to what Red Bull had last year, with that very kind of thin sort of intake at the top and sort of at the side of the side pod as well. Again, there'll be a picture here. Like, it's a bit like similar to what the Mercedes ran last year. So that sort of side pod, there's a lot more space under the side pod as well to let more airflow, and that's something you know, not as radical or like the Red Bull was last year, but very similar to that. So that's the kind of direction they've gone in. There are also changes to the mirrors. There's another element, I keep forgetting what they're called, another element on the wing mirror. Again, there'll be a picture here, and also just more aggressive on the engine cover towards the back. You can see it's a lot more kind of slimmed down. It's not as bulky. Last year it was kind of poking out quite a bit, obviously to like cooling. They've made that more aggressive to the whole cooling package to make the car more tight and concealed. And you can also see the airbox on top of the car is a lot bigger than the one last year, obviously because they need the cooling. I think there's a few little minor changes to the front wing as well, but yeah, McLaren say that they've basically developed everything on the car, and it's pretty much a brand new car, and they obviously want to win the championship this year, both championships, not just one. And yeah, I mean, it sounds promising. Andrea Stella seems very excited. Obviously they're gonna say that they're gonna be excited, they're gonna be playing themselves down a little bit at the same time as well. Yeah, not much really I can say. It's interesting. We'll see how it does on track against everyone else, but yeah, very interesting from McLaren. And secondly, we're going to do 2 in 1 here. Williams revealed their car this morning, only about an hour and a half ago as I'm recording this. Obviously they got a new title sponsor, very big deal for Williams, the biggest in the team's history, they claim. I think it's also like a technical partnership as well, so it's not just a sponsor. They claim to be really actively involved in putting the team forward. The launch event for Williams was quite good. It was a very questionable at times, a bit cringe. Some of the stuff the presenter was saying, Steve Jones, was a bit interesting. Obviously, again, it's not the actual livery, it's a mock-up livery. All the sponsors on the car, the big Atlassian on the side pod, and they're very excited. James Vowles, again, he's playing down the chances, saying, you know, they're more focused on 26, 27, 28, the new regulation cycle. So this car might not be as radical maybe as the McLaren would be. And again, to the naked eye, from what I can see, I can't see a huge bunch of details, but I'll stress it again, I'm not very technically minded, but from what I could notice on the car, the most notable was the side pods. So what I was saying about the McLaren earlier, where they have the kind of small, sort of thin sort of air intake at the top of the side pod, and it kind of that sort of Red Bull design again, where it's aimed at letting more airflow kind of under the side pod. It's very similar to that. From all the other comparison pictures I can see, things like the engine covers look quite similar to last year, but I'm sure there are still quite a few numerous little details, but the biggest thing is the side pods. So it's interesting to see all the teams going down this route of the thinner side pods, the Ferrari sort of ones they made for the second half of the year, that sort of design. So it's very interesting to see all the teams going down this route. And yeah, the car ran fine, just like the McLaren did yesterday. Yeah, not much to add. I'm just looking forward to see what the liveries are going to be like when they reveal them next week. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Williams gets on this year. Interesting couple of day of launches, quite similar to last year's cars as expected. And we'll see what the rest of the teams bring. But it's here. F1 2025 is here. We've only got like a month till the Australian Grand Prix. I'm so excited. Let's get this show on the road.